Each week on Culinary Confidential, Christina Cates, a seasoned foodie who has worked at some of New York City's top restaurants, will share her passion for the culinary world. Whether you're a professional chef, a restaurant enthusiast, or a lover of good food, Christina dives into the heart of hospitality, exploring the trends, triumphs, and challenges facing the food service profession. And you won't want to miss her chats with some of the most interesting and influential industry voices. And now, please take your seat at the table as Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates starts now, exclusively on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates. This show is produced in association with my dear friend, Lucas A. Ferrara. We're on the road again, and tonight we're in Chicago. I've not been to Chicago in probably, about 15 years, but when I was last there, I loved it. Great energy, clean city, and amazing Midwest hospitality. The food scene has greatly expanded there since my last visit, so I've invited on the show a few guests that will show us around town and share with us why Chicago is a very hip dining scene. My first guest this evening is Susie Griffin, but I call her Susie. Susie has spent her whole professional life in hospitality, building a career around the belief that genuine care and connection matter the most. She got her start as a dishwasher at Wells Cargo, a family-owned restaurant in her hometown, and has grown through nearly every front-of-the-house role since. Today, she serves as a highly admired bar server at Gibson's Italia, which is part of the widely respected Gibson's restaurant group in Chicago. Everyone knows Gibson's. Originally from Atlanta, Susie worked with 101 Concepts before making Chicago her home over a decade ago. Her path has included roles in management, bartending, serving, and guest ambassador, each one deepening her understanding of people and the power of a warm, welcoming experience. She majored in marketing and minored in hospitality at Georgia State University, but it's the real, everyday moments on the floor that have shaped her most. Learning by doing, leading with heart. Thanks to her experience with Gibson's Restaurant Group, Susie's guiding principle is clear. Every guest leaves happy, a commitment she upholds with passion, transparency, and sincerity. To Susie, hospitality isn't just service. It's the tangible feeling, the storytelling, connection, and care. She shows up every day ready to give her best, truly leaving her heart on the table. In a little while, I have David Baez on the show, and he has a super fun social media personality known as Baez Bitez that he started with a nudge from his wife, funny enough. I'll go into more detail about what David has going on when we get back from the commercial break, but basically, he's eating the best bites in town, so he's definitely going to know the hot spots around Chicago. Susie Griffin, welcome to Culinary Confidential. You have a reputation that has made it all the way to the East Coast of being the absolute best in the biz when it comes to hospitality.
Wow, that is quite an introduction, Christina. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, great. I mean, I got to give a shout out to Shayna again. She's always bringing people together. I could not do this show without her, so big shout out to her. I'm excited to have you on the show because I had a request from a special listener recently wanting to know more about customer service. So, William Hughes, I know you're listening because you do every week. This show is for you. Let's start off with, in your own words, what does hospitality mean in the context of the industry, the restaurant biz?
Hospitality, I think it's the heart.
The heart,
right? Hospitality
yes.
is reading what people want, how they tick, and how to deliver it. And then to deliver it in an innate and transparent and honest way. Because I think people always know if you read between the lines, if it's not authentic.
Yeah.
So I think the hospitality is from the heart.
Do you think there's special qualities people need to have, non-negotiables to really give that top-notch customer service? Because honestly, the business isn't for everybody.
Agreed. I think that there are certain, just where people can be the best at what their profession could be, whether it's an NBA player or it's a professional baseball player, whatever it might be, they have that star factor. They have that it factor. I think it's the same when it comes to hospitality, that you can just feel that spark. They do it because they love it. They do it because it makes them more whole and more fulfilled by giving to others.
Well, when did you realize that you had that spark?
Oh, well, thank you. That's such a compliment.
You do, Susie. I mean, you're a ray of sunshine.
I have to give credit from the restaurant that I grew up working in. I started as a dishwasher at 14. My sister was working at this, neighborhood restaurant. It was family owned, so it was all people coming in that you knew their birthday, you knew their family, you knew where they lived, everything about them. And I think from realizing that I wanted to cultivate knowing them and what makes them happy, and then doing it on a bigger scale as I got older, is just knowing that, I guess it's that, like just knowing from a young age that intrigued me and made me happy, and
it's fulfilling.
I loved it. Yes, fulfilling for sure.
I mean, hospitality is definitely my passion, which is why I gravitated towards restaurants, which is so funny to me because I don't think when people look at me, they think, okay, she's like the friendliest person ever in the world. But I have like this alter ego in restaurants where I give a great experience. I just love helping people and having them walk away feeling like they just had a beautiful experience at whatever restaurant I'm operating. So I love hospitality. And I really get upset, though, when I don't get it in return, because I know how easy it can be to just give a delightful experience. But things don't always go that way in restaurants. So let's talk about kind of the flip side. When you need to build rapport quickly with a customer, if they're frustrated or upset, what are your techniques to do? Because I know what mine are.
So first off, I think that what people can view as a difficult customer or someone they can't please, I think that can be the most rewarding, because you have to figure out what has upset them, how can you build the trust, and how can you get them to feel differently once they walk out? And then also, how can you repeat that for them and elevate it each time that they come in? So I think it's, one, making them feel heard if, they have a problem, or if they come in with an emotion that's, they're just not happy. Mm-hmm. So have them feel heard, understand what it is that you can deliver to make them feel better, and deliver it better and better each time.
Right. I think a great thing also is to make eye contact with the guest. Sure. Because, when a guest is upset about something, because listen, these things happen in restaurants. You order a steak medium, it comes out medium rare, whatever. The entrees took too long. These things do happen, but it's how you react to them in the restaurant is what sets good hospitality apart from another one. So I think eye contact is super important, and also just being silent and listening, giving the guest the opportunity to speak, hear what their frustrations are, and then you can react. But a lot of times in restaurants and other customer service venues, people don't want to hear what the complaint is. They just want to try to deal with fixing it, but they're not hearing exactly what needs to be fixed. They're like, oh, okay, I'll send you out this, I'll send you out that. But the guest wants to speak and they want to be heard. So I think that's very important. Now, how do you teach people the Susie Griffin way? Because I've worked in enough restaurants to know that you are probably training the staff, the new hires that are being onboarded. So how do you kind of emulate that with new hires to be like, this is how we do it here, but this is how I do it specifically, which is why I'm so great at my job?
Well, I'm very lucky that items that I feel like are innate to me are also exemplified through Gibson's Restaurant Group through what they call Yugoisms. So it's basically the core values of what the restaurant stands for. So
tell me them. I want to hear them.
Oh, there's so many. But I think, yes is the answer. Now, what's the question? I think when it comes to a guest, do whatever you can to say yes, because no one wants to hear no. And if they have to hear no, figure out a better way to say it. Because at the end of the day, you don't win by fighting back with them. Check your ego and just give them what they want, because that's how you build brand loyalty, and then that's how you deliver consistent business. So that's one of my favorites. I also love franchise theory. So franchise theory is you run the restaurant like you're the CEO. Mm-hmm. So Gibson's is so giving in the fact of you make the decisions, you run the restaurant the way that you see fit, you get yourself out of bad situations, buy your way out of it, and run it how you want to run it. And the thing is you can develop that on the grandest scale by just sticking to that motto, because it's not your money, it's the company's money, but it's like your real estate. So I just love franchise theories because it's basically like you can be a subcontractor and not have to pay taxes on it.
That's a great point.
I also love don't be greedy. The money will come to you. And it's true. It's like if you stick to taking care of the guests and say it's a table that's not yours, but you deliver whatever their needs or service are, and you're not looking for anything to be directly benefit from, it comes back to you. That person comes next time looking for you because they knew that you did it from the heart for them. I literally could go on and on about all the Yugoisms because I completely agree with all of them, and it's just what I think completely separates Gibson's from any other restaurant group.
You know, I've not been to Gibson's in a long time. I went not to Gibson's Italia. I haven't been to Chicago in 15 years, but I did go to Gibson's once.
Okay, so what was your experience?
I remember it being great. I mean, I think I went there late night for a drink at the bar after being out. So, I mean, I didn't get a true service experience. But Italia, which is where you are, I hear the most amazing things about it.
I mean, it's an unbelievable view, and I love the merging of, Italian classics with the traditional Gibson steakhouse. So you know that you're going to get the best of the upper Midwest when it comes to steak. It's just such a cool collaboration, and I love it.
Wait, is Drew Keene the chef?
He is.
Oh, so I had him on the show like months ago. I forgot about that. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so he was with the company and then came back. You know, he's just a chef celebrity.
Is he?
But he runs his kitchen. Yes. He runs his kitchen so thorough, but also so relatable. It's just be on top of your things, deliver what the guest wants, and the amount of food and the timing and the execution that the kitchen does, like every time that they do say like a 10 people's order, and the food just comes out flawlessly. And it's all different modifications. It's all different, items. Every time I'll run up to the kitchen and be like, thank you so much. Like, that was perfect. Like, you make my job look so effortless because of your execution. And
right.
I can never do what back of the house does. That's why I'm in the front of the house.
I know. Listen, I want to talk about how tech plays a major role in guest satisfaction, because we have reservation systems, guest profile databases. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because I don't think people that go to restaurants necessarily know the backstory of how tech really has helped customer service overall.
I mean, overall, it just allows you to know what you can push your limits into. Not saying, going back to, yes, now what's the question? Getting people in, not saying no to their reservations, and really pushing what the limits are to capacity of people that we can take. So first and foremost, we're under open table with Gibson's Restaurant Group. So they really take care and have universal communication among all the locations. Because I feel like I've been at different concepts for us, and I see so many of the same familiar faces, which is amazing. So to know, like, hey, when you're at Lux Bar, you really like the buffalo chicken salad, but when you come to Gibson's Italia, you like sitting at this certain table number, and you like to start out with a glass of champagne. So really knowing what the guests have with their patterns, and also like dietary restrictions. Like, it kind of gives you a little bit of cliff notes on the guest prior to it, because everybody wants to feel important. Everybody wants to feel heard, and they do want to be recognized as someone who comes into your different locations. And the thing is with technology, it allows that to track. So, because not everybody has the remember the face, remember the name, remember the order
right.
kind of gift. So it just gives you that little bit of extra edge.
You know, it's so funny. Like, I do think the whole capturing the data of the guest on the lines of likes the champagne or whatever is great. But you know what I used to use it for all the time? When I was at the Palm Restaurant in Tribeca, I would put notes in that says, like, okay, when Mr. So-and-so comes in with the blonde, that's not his wife. That's his girlfriend. Her name is Darcy. So don't say, hi, Mrs. whatever, because that's Darcy. Or the brunette is his wife. So don't call her Darcy. Call her Mrs. So-and-so. So you can really put whatever you want in those databases. And when they come in and you know exactly their name and who is who and how, their kid likes their chicken fingers cut up, like, you look like a rock star, because it takes like the guesswork out of doing everything. And it just makes the customer, or the guest, as I like to call them, just more relaxed, because they know, like, you got it.
Yeah. And with something like a story similar to that, I recognized somebody's face that had been in there like 5 days earlier. And I was like, hey, welcome back. Like, how are you? And he looked at me like, I've never been here before. And I was like, you're right. I messed up. Just, you must have one of those faces, but he definitely had been in. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and I was like,
right.
Yes. So it's like those notes would have been great, but it's like I definitely learned right then and there how to transition from, you are totally right, I'm going to backtrack. It might not be that the person wants to be recognized as being known.
Yep. And you can put that in there, too, in the notes. Like, after an experience like that, you can go in, don't recognize this man. He likes to fly under the radar. That's also important.
Yeah, every single time it's his first time.
My gosh, shady people. I can think of a time that I completely messed up hospitality-wise. When I was managing a restaurant, we had this hamburger on the menu at the Palm. And for whatever reason, they decided to take it off the dinner menu. So you couldn't get it in the main dining room. You could only get it in the bar. It was silly. A lot of people wanted it. And they had gotten it for years beforehand as a loyal customer. And I had to make the hard decision once of making this like pain in the butt customer. Like, I had to say no to him, and he was so upset. And I was like, after that, I was like, that was a mistake. Like, I should have just let him have it.
Right?
Like, if everyone around him saw it and questioned like why he got to have it and they can't, like, I should have dealt with it that way. But instead, I drew a hard line in the sand and I told him no. He just was like a jerk to begin with, but he never liked me, obviously, after that. But that was a mistake. Like, I could admit, that was not good hospitality. I should have handled that differently. We all can't be Susie Griffin, though,
Well, there's been many times where, and this is, again, thank you to the kitchen, where I've laid on the sword and been like, listen, I'm going to give you 5 paragraphs for why this will benefit getting this burger in the main dining room versus the bar today. He knows it's absolutely something that he can't get all the time, but please, can I have this? So it's sometimes just being like, I'm going to beg you for this favor, and you know that I'm coming from the aspect of, like, I want to take care of them. This doesn't benefit me. Please, can we give this to them?
Well, that's the exception to the rule, and that's what hospitality is about.
Yes. But you learn, right? Like, you know from that experience, saying no with that particular person is not worth it.
Did me no favors. Nope. He might have wrote to corporate about me, if I recall. I don't know. But anyway, Susie, we're going to go to commercial break. When we get back, I'm going to bring David Baez on the show, and then hang tight, because I want you to come back on a little later, and we'll just do like a little tour of Chicago, the three of us. That sounds fun, right?
Oh, we're going to have a blast.
Okay, great. Stay tuned. You're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970, The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
Welcome back from the break. We're in Chicago on the show tonight, and now I want to introduce David Baez, creator of the Baez Bitez personality on social media. David was born in Miami, Florida, to immigrants of Cuban exiles and dreamers. His upbringing was very much centered around large family gatherings that included an excessive amount of traditional Cuban dishes and roasts accompanied by the inevitable domino games and dancing around the dining table. All of his happiest early memories centered around the gathering, the eating, and the celebrating of life with others who came to do the exact same thing. David went off, he studied marketing and business management at FSU, Florida State University, before he headed to the Midwest, where he attended the University of Notre Dame for law school. He's a named partner at Willens & Baez, a leading personal injury law firm in Chicago. And when he's not helping others, he is chasing the next best bite throughout the city of Chicago. In January of 2024, as I mentioned earlier, with a nudge from his wife, he started Baez Bitez as a way to fuel that passion instilled in him all those years ago. He interviews industry insiders, so chefs, servers, management, even though that's what I do too, throughout Chicago, on what their best bites are. He began the interview series as a way to hand out deserved flowers to all of those who have left him better off after an experience they provided in one way or another. That's just lovely. David Baez, welcome to Culinary Confidential.
Thank you for having me. Can I hire you to do my intros?
Because that sounded so nice, right?
Thank you so much. I'm like the Temu version of you, though. You're
oh, my God, please. Not even close. No, I love your content. I love all the social media posts. You do a really great job.
It's been a ton of fun, just immersing myself completely in the community, getting to know, some of the icons and then some of the up-and-comers, and just putting a personality behind some of these restaurants that I've been going to for years.
And also giving them a platform. Like, you're very important now. Exactly. I mean, because look, for me, I'm out in New York, New Jersey. I don't necessarily know some of these places in Chicago because I haven't been to Chicago in so long, but I go on your social media handle, Baez Bitez, and I feel like I'm in the scene there. And, I'm going to come to Chicago soon. I talked to you about this. I'm going to know where to go because I'm going to reference you. So that's amazing. But I do want to ask, what do you think sets Chicago's dining scene apart from other cities?
Yeah, it's obviously like New York, an extremely diverse city. We've got big Mexican influence, big Polish influence, Italian, Irish. And so you've got all these cultures coming together. And Chicago in general, it's just a very collaborative city. You've got that Midwest spirit. So on a random Tuesday, you'll have two of the biggest chefs collabing at a restaurant and coming up with new ideas and trying new things. So I think the chefs here really lend each other tips and suggestions, and they grow together. And it makes our entire culinary scene that much better. That's
awesome. All right. So I'm not super familiar with Chicago. I know there's the Gold Coast, but what are some of the other neighborhoods, like the underrated neighborhoods or hidden gems that more people should know about as far as dining goes?
Sure. So obviously the Gold Coast, it's iconic throughout. Everyone kind of knows that area. It's almost like going to Times Square, right? You don't really go there often unless you're staying from out of town, but it has some good.
Wait, is that where that Navy Pier is? That pier thing?
Navy Pier is just south of there, yeah. But the best neighborhood for food by far, and kind of like the Mecca, is West Loop, the Fulton Market area. It's been a fascinating transition. It's almost like your guys' meatpacking district, where it's 10, 15 years ago, there really wasn't much out there, right? It was kind of like one of those spots that you're like, is this where I go to die? and then you would show up at a restaurant, and now it's become the central hub for restaurants and bars in Chicago. I mean, the blocks are packed, with pedestrians. Every restaurant there just seems like it's, a new rising star. So West Loop is kind of the mecca here, but there's a lot of little surprises throughout the city too, like Little Village, which a lot of Chicagoans don't even go to. known as La Villita. It's kind of like the Mexican, like, Main Street. So there's a bunch of great taquerias there.
I love a
Got some
taqueria.
good spots. Yeah. Oh, tacos. I actually just had like 6 tacos at a new spot yesterday.
Oh,
I'm
just
going to do a
6?
review in a couple of days, so follow along.
Definitely. That's great. All right, so but what are your go-to spots when you're not on the job? Like, you know, the low-key places that you're not necessarily doing maybe the reels about or the videos, but like your layups that where you know you're going to go for a good meal.
Yeah, it obviously depends on where the mood is, right? But like you can't go wrong with a good pizza. And that's like another thing in Chicago. You know, we're known for our deep dish. But
Right.
as you might know, the locals probably eat deep dish maybe once a quarter, right?
So it's not like the Friday night pie.
No. This is not like, Mom's meatloaf. No. We're doing this once a quarter as kind of like a, hey, let's just dive in there. But tavern style is really where Chicago thrives in terms of pizza. There's a place called Vito Nick's on the south side. It's been around since the Great Depression, literally the Great Depression. I'm not hyperbolizing. And then there's another spot, Pat's, which has been around since like 1950. And those two specialize in tavern style. And then recently we've had a major renaissance in tavern style pizza in downtown. So Zarella's a spot I've gone to 3 times in the last month. They have an incredible tavern style pizza there. Pizza Michi, which is in West Town, we've gone to twice, my wife and I, in the past month. As you can tell, I love pizza. And then
Pizza and tacos. It's your fave.
Pizza and tacos. Yep, exactly. And then there's another spot called Novel Pizza that I want to show some love to too. They're kind of in the Pilsen area of Chicago, which is another big Mexican community in Chicago. So Novel Pizza is doing some great tavern style pizza as well. So that's my like go-to, not necessarily recording always, but it's my comfort food.
Oh, I love a comfort food. You know, I had Luminalities, I think it was called. Luminalities deep dish when I was there like forever ago. Is that still there?
So Luminati's is like, kind of the standard when it comes to deep dish pizza, right? They've got this butter crust, which is delicious. I always get irked when people hate on Luminati's, like locals will hate on it, right? They'll be like, oh, Lou's is not a real Chicago pizza. I mean, yeah, it has a place in history here, and it's incredible. It's been around since 1970, and it spawned off a lot of those deep dish movements throughout Chicago, which, again, like I said, the tourists love it, and we like it. It's once a quarter, but it's not our go-to.
Wait, so people hate on Luminaldi's specifically or the Chicago pie as a whole? Like, is there a better place to get the Chicago-style deep dish?
I think it's like anything else, like when people like talk about music and they're like, oh, they sold out or they went to commercial. I think that's the hate on Luminati's. It's like, because you can buy like freezer pies now, and it's kind of become a brand even nationally. Like if you wanted to order a pie from Luminati's, you could get it. So it's kind of like there's a local hate because of that, but I still think they do a good pie.
Okay. You know what I love? That popcorn, the Garrett's popcorn.
Oh, yeah. They get you, too. They suck you in with the smell. They just pump it out to the street, and you just, like, have to be pulled in there.
The Chicago mix. It's the half caramel, half cheddar, which sounds like a weird mix to have at the same time in the same bucket, but it's a party in your mouth.
It works. I don't care who came up with it. It works so well.
Is that also something else that, like, real Chicago people don't eat? It's like a tourist trap?
Yeah. It definitely is consumed way more by tourists, but like I'll walk in there. If I smell that thing and I'm walking by, I'll grab myself a little Chicago mix for sure.
All right, let's talk about Baez Bites for a minute. So what's your setup when you're kind of deciding you're going to highlight a restaurant? You're bringing what? A microphone with you, a recorder? You're doing an on-site kind of reel?
Yeah, so I bring, sometimes my wife will join in, but I've got, 2 tripods, one set up for, the nice Sony Alpha camera, and then another one set up with the iPhone just for like an off-angle shoot. And then I've got my microphone, which I attach to, as you might have seen, to kitchen utensils.
Yes.
And so it's become kind of my thing, and then, we normally will shoot for like 15, 20 minutes. I do a small intro, kind of like how you did here, and then the same 2 questions always at the beginning: best pizza, best burger. Those are standing questions. And then the other questions are always based off of research I've done on the chef or the industry insider, something I know about them, something a friend told me about them that might be funny to kind of toss in there. And then it's the editing room, it's just trying to get it down to 3 minutes.
I didn't realize you were taping it on your iPhone, though. It looks very well done.
Yeah, so I've got, obviously one shoot. Every time I kind of go off like the side angle, that's the iPhone shot. So the main shot is with the nice Sony camera, and then the off shot is with the iPhone. But it works well. I mean, as long as you're shooting in the right resolution, you can make it work.
So have you had a favorite interview you've done? I know if you're having them on Baez Bitez, you love them all. Like, I get that because they wouldn't be on there.
You need to pick a kid.
Yes, pick a kid right now.
My favorite child. I'll give you an answer, though. It's actually one that wasn't like necessarily scheduled, which is funny. So Cesar Murillo, who I interviewed at the Green City Farmers Market. So he actually wanted to do it and highlight the farmers market, so we did it there. And he is the executive chef at North Pond, comes from Sepia before, extremely talented. He's actually on Top Chef this season 22.
Sick.
I went to go interview him, and I love you, Cesar, love you, but Oriana, who he was working the booth with, is a farmer here in Chicago, and she just hijacked the interview in the best way possible and made her. She's an 80-year-old farmer who does it all herself. She grows
my goodness.
here in Illinois, and they're incredible. And so, but she's just a character. Like, there's no filter. You get what it is, and it's just like an old school, refreshing take.
Hey, give me her number because I'm doing a show about farming in a couple of weeks. I might want to have her on for a segment.
God. She is built for TV, built for radio. She is amazing.
That's great. All right, we're going to talk about that off air. All right, David, let's go to commercial break. And then when we get back, let's bring Susie back on the line and we'll kind of take a tour of the best of Chicago spots. We'll just spitfire a little bit. Okay, you're listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970 The Answer.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
Welcome back to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates on AM 970. The Answer.
We're back with the best of Chicago with Susie Griffin and David Baez. Chicago is now solidified as one of the nation's most reputable and dynamic food cities, which is why I talk about it a lot. Chicago has it all. There are casual global outposts and places with value-centric small plates, but there is also a reinforced fine dining halo here with Michelin star density. The 24-25 Michelin Guide honored 20 Chicago restaurants with stars, plus 37 Bib Gourmands, reaffirming the city's place as a world-class dining destination. Welcome back to the show, Susie and David.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Can we talk about, I think, what maybe Chicago is most famously known for, which is the Viagra Triangle? I feel like we should talk about this, no?
100%, please.
Let's not get too much. Let's not get too much into the weeds. Why it's named that?
Well, it's because wealthy men, right, live around there, and young women kind of go to the restaurants and bars around there. Okay.
Yep, that's it.
But isn't Gibson's like the corner of it, Susie?
I'll let you take that.
Part of it for sure. It's definitely a lot of times you're like, is that a daddy or is it a date? Like we don't quite know, but yes, it's right on it's a corner where it's like Gibson's on Rush, it's Lux Bar, it's like the little corner that you can just basically restaurant and bar hop.
Well, that sounds like fun. I didn't realize Lux Bar was over there right by Gibson's. I did remember hearing Tavern on Rush. Okay, but that's not there anymore?
The partners kind of split off, so now it's like the new Tavern on Rush is right across from Lux Bar, and then it became Bellevue. So it's like they took the name and sign and went right across the street. So it's all in the family right there.
That's great. Are you hanging around there, Susie?
I always try and pop in there as much as I can. I was in there on Saturday at Lux Bar, seeing a lot of familiar faces. I can't stay away. It's the energy on that, as you would say, the Viagra triangle is like no other.
We got to shout out Ryan Lindquist, right? The GM of Lux Bar.
Yes.
Love Ryan.
Yes.
I'm actually seeing Ryan on Friday. Yeah, I'm interviewing Ryan for a Baez Bitez too.
Are you? Well,
Yay!
That's fun. Wait, I don't even understand Susie, how do you and David know each other? Or David, how do you and Susie know each other?
You go first.
Susie, you want to take that one? Or you want me to take it? All right, yeah. So
I want you to.
Just mutual friends and also just Lux Bar, and then we became homies. I mean, it was like one of those things where we hit it off, and she's just like the most vivacious, like light in the room. So her energy is incredible, and I've had the pleasure of following her career where she's at Gibson's Italian now. So we try and see Suze as much as possible.
That's great. That's so sweet.
Oh.
All right. So we do need to kind of bounce around Chicago a little bit because we're doing like a virtual tour here. So where are some of our best bites? Like, do you guys even have good bagels out in Chicago?
That's the one that's a little disappointing. Like, should I just fly to New York for 24 hours to get a good bagel?
Really?
So
It's that dire?
Yes. Because I grew up, like, my mom's from New York, so when we were younger, she would always have, like, bagels for us, so I've always had a taste for it. But I feel like we need to pump some blood into that here in Chicago.
We got to ship you our water.
Yes.
That's what they say. They say it's the water. Yeah, I will say I did a video recently, and I made that same comment. Like, one of the places we fall behind is bagels, but there are some recent players that are coming to the game. Schneider Deli's doing pretty good stuff, and they're collabing with a lot of local chefs as well. And they have great sandwiches, but their bagels are pretty good. Again, not New York bagels, but pretty good.
Okay,
and
a close
Tilly's
second.
just opened up. Yeah, and then Tilly's just opened a spot in West Loop. I haven't tried it yet, but everyone's saying that's the closest. So, they're on the list, right at the top.
All right. Well, when I come, I'm going to check it out. All right. Where are we going for the best burger in town? These are questions you ask, right, David? Best burger, best pizza?
The hypocrite in me is like, I can't answer that.
You're kidding.
Even though I force people to. It's just, right, there are so many good burgers, and it also depends. Do you want a pub burger? Do you want a smash burger? My favorite lately has been the Patty Please up at Small Bar in northern Logan area. It's incredible. And then you have your usual players like the Au Cheval. I know you guys have.
Oh, I love Au Cheval. Oh, so good.
It's incredible. Yeah. Anybody that talks, it's like how I feel about Lubinati. So anybody that talks bad about Au Cheval, just stop. Right. They're there for a reason, and they're iconic.
But why would someone talk bad about them? It's literally, I would say, one of the best burgers in New York.
I don't know. I think people, again, they hate when people go commercial or they go elsewhere, right? So Au Cheval has kind of, the Hog Salt family. They've opened up different locations now, and it's they start to talk badly about Au Cheval. It's not worth the wait. It's not this. And I'm it's a fantastic burger.
Haters gonna hate, Susie, where's your best burger?
Well, I did the podcast with David, and I said Lux Bar. I love a smash burger. It's 2 4-ounce patties, caramelized onions, American cheese, pickles, ketchup, mustard. I still think about it every day. I love a smash burger, but also Au Cheval, that would be right behind it. So I'm always after a patty melt or a smash burger anywhere I go.
Wow, you put Lux Bar as number one. You're a real company person. That's great. That's great, Susie.
I definitely am.
All right, what about best pizza?
Okay,
so
Suze and I.
Yeah, you went for pizza recently.
Yeah. And I'll let Suze take that, but that's been my favorite bite recently, that tavern we just had. I'm going to let her explain.
I completely agree. So Zarella had just opened up, and, you get a 4 o'clock reservation if you're lucky. Turns out the GM there used to be with Gibson's for the longest time and saw 3 or 4 familiar faces, all from Gibson's Restaurant Group. So they have 2 different styles. They call it artesian. I know on Barstools they were like, you can't call this artesian, but it's kind of a mix between artesian and New York style. And we got a mushroom white-based pizza that was phenomenal. And
was there truffle?
At a tavern. Yes.
Okay, good.
It was phenomenal. I was like, if you took this sauce and put it on pasta, I would eat it every single day. So I'm glad that we got both styles. Totally David's idea. I love Tavern, and it was the perfect, like, crisp, little edges were burnt but not overly burnt. It had that cornmeal on the bottom. It just had every element. It's between Zarella for me and also Pizza Michi, which is another one that just opened up and can't get a 4 o'clock reservation. They're doing wonderful things. Their sauce is the best. So
That's
it's
awesome.
like if I could take the components from Zarella and then put the sauce from Pizza Michi, that would be like the most ideal. But I'm okay with going to both places.
Great. All right, let's talk Michelin star restaurants. What do we have going on? Because as I mentioned, you guys have plenty of them.
Okay, yeah, the icon, like the one for me that, you know, is always going to be on the pedestal is Alinea. I think that's one of those experiences that changes your perception on food. It's, you know, like the first experience at Alinea, you're just like, oh, this is what could happen with food. This is what you can do with it. Grant Achatz, a legend, he just came through New York, I think, this past month. He had a collab with Olmsted out in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, and so he just left there, and now he's in Miami. He's on his 20-year tour, so it's the 20-year anniversary of Alinea. So he's going through the U.S. with Alinea pop-ups. But that's number one. And number two for me is Oreo. Oreo is incredible. Noah Sandoval's just like a genius, and the food there is awesome.
Suze, you want to say anything about Michelin restaurants?
I love Lula Cafe. I used to live in Logan Square, so I know they were up for hospitality. I am more of how do you make me feel, and then I experience it through the bite. So their food's phenomenal, and you can go like during the day or at night, whatever you're in the mood for. So I think they're doing great things there, and it's amazing to have, you know, an accomplished Michelin star for hospitality.
You know, you and I are like one and the same, because I said this on, I think it was the one with Chef Nadav and Ellen Hunter about Michelin star restaurants. The Bib Gourmand restaurants are usually my favorite, like more so than the Michelin star, because it just sometimes invites like a different energy. Like you feel less pressure to just kind of be stiff in the room when you're dining Michelin star wise. Like I just like to be a little bit more loose. So I always love the Bib Gourmand restaurants. But I want to talk a little bit about cocktails, because we really haven't mentioned much about the liquid part of Chicago.
Yes.
So where, like, you have some like good bars there. What's the bar scene like?
We have some incredible bars.
Ever-present.
Yeah, Chicago's definitely a drinking city. I know there's a movement now, obviously, with the non-alcoholic cocktails, and that's really made a huge push. But Sue's put me on, actually, to Gus's Sip and Dip. I want to give them a shout-out. Give
cute name.
your boyfriends a shout-out. The cocktails there are somehow $12 only, which that's like a yesteryear price, you know?
Yeah.
So now cocktails are $15 to $25, and these cocktails are elite. Like, it's not like they're compromising on ingredients. So Gus's Sip and Dip is definitely a place you want to go to grab a nice cocktail, good little bites.
Awesome. All right. How has the dining scene changed, you think, in the last, I don't know, 5, 10, 15, 20 years in Chicago?
I feel like everything's elevated. I feel like, you know, you can't like Chicago, because it is such a destination for food, that you have to hit every mark. And if you don't hit every mark, then you're not going to survive. And I know my husband asked me, he's like, well, if you wanted to live in a different city, where would you want to live? And I'm like, I'm never leaving this food scene. If we went to a different city, like, I don't know how it would compare, because each year, each month, it's getting more elevated. And it's not like elevated to where it feels like, as you talked about, stiff or snooty or whatever it might be. It's just like, that is the bar, and we're going to keep achieving it.
Well, I'll tell you what, you know, when I heard Shayna was going to Chicago, I said to myself, I'm like, okay, there must be a pretty intense dining scene there for her to consider moving there, because she has all the experience in the world. She's always worked in New York. Like, that's a major player in global dining destinations. So if she's going to Chicago, there's got to be something there. So I knew something was up in this town.
Was she like, Chicago's very good?
No, she loves it there. I mean,
New York, that's it.
The only thing I think it's hard, like, and I don't think you would disagree, is it's windy and the winters are like really rough there.
Sure.
I will say,
harsh.
It's what gives Chicago summers the energy that it has, right? I always, like, I grew up in Miami, Florida, right? So, like, adjusting to the winters here was brutal. But there's no place in the world between May and September like Chicago, because people know they've been through some bad winter. every day there's just excitement. The energy is incredible. The bars and restaurants are packed. It's awesome.
That's great. All right. Thank you for listening to Culinary Confidential with Christina Cates, Sunday nights at 9 p.m. on AM 970 The Answer. Hope you enjoyed our stay in Chi-Town tonight. Thank you to Susie Griffin for, your warm energy on the show. Go see her at the bar at Gibson's Italia, located at 233 North Canal Street in Chicago. And when you're there, leave her a big fat gratuity, will ya? And thank you to David Baez for giving us the best bites of Chicago. Check out more about David on social media. His handle is BAEZ.BITEZ. He's on a never-ending quest to find the greatest Baez bite ever. Tune in next week when we're in Beverly Hills, California. I have the guys from the famous cheese store of Beverly Hills on the show. Cheese lovers, the show is for you. Thanks for listening and have a great night.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.